Hello everyone, welcome to the Gravity channel. In today's video, we will see about the thrust of science. What pushes or drives a physicist to carry out an experiment, to make a discovery or to invent something. Now to list, the two principal thrusts of physics are unification and reductionism. When we are trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, we are trying to find patterns. If I write these numbers here, what are these numbers? Yeah, experienced eyes would be seeing right angled triangles right now. These are Pythagoras triplets here. There is a pattern. Similarly, when you become well versed in physics, in science, you will see patterns of unification and reduction in each discovery, in each experiment. Okay, so what do they exactly mean? Unification is the process of using one law to explain different phenomena. The most popular example to understand unification is Newton's universal law of gravitation. Newton said that all the objects of the universe attract all other objects by the force of gravitation. He gave this very formula. Force is G m1 m2 by r square. So Newton said that all the objects of the universe, without even considering what that object is, follow this formula. Before Newton gave the universal law of gravitation, the motion of Earth around the sun, the falling down of this pen were understood using different explanations. There were billions of explanations with small things, small motions. Newton unified them all. He told all the objects of the universe will follow this. बिल गेट्स हो या कोई फकीर हो, सब पे ये लॉ लगता है. See the beauty of it. The second principle, reductionism, means using microscopic processes to explain macroscopic happenings. A good example I can think of is heat and pressure. Now when we are hit by large size objects, we feel force. We experience pressure, like my hand is experiencing pressure right now. When the size of hitting object becomes smaller, the pressure is focused, so the feeling changes. If I am hit by even smaller object like a nail or the tip of a pen, the feeling is more of piercing than pressure. When we immerse our hand in hot water, billions of rapidly moving water molecules hit the hand. This feeling is perceived by our brains as heat. So heat, a macroscopic process, is explained using movement of microscopic molecules here. This is an example of reductionism. So you can see both the processes, unification and reductionism, are simplifying things. They try to simplify. They don't want a lot of explanations. They don't want lot of theories. They are reducing the number of theories, reducing the number of laws. Okay, so science in general tries to make things simpler. We avoid complexities, but when we see one, we are driven towards it. One of my friends, a businessman, casually asked me that why do you science guys keep on complicating things? I had a hard time explaining him that, bro, believe me, we are simplifying things. We are going on simplifying things. All the developments around us that we see today are a result of years of process of simplification. Okay. Now, another example which I would like to state regarding unification and reductionism is about matter. Ancient cultures believed that all the objects are formed from 5 elements: earth, water, space, fire, and wind. Now, as science progressed, things started being classified according to their properties. So there were living objects, there were non-living objects, there was furniture, there was vehicles, so different categories. On further breaking down things, it was found that all the objects in this world, on earth at least, can be formed by a combination of these 118 elements. So yeah, the modern periodic table. John Dalton, the guy behind the word atom, said that all the atoms of iron, be it used for a utensil or to make a train, have the same properties. So now the number of objects, the number of fundamental things was reduced to 118. But 118, yeah, it's a big number. Scientists wanted simpler things. So the atoms were broken down into protons, electrons and neutrons. So all these 118 elements are formed by simpler particles, protons, electrons and neutrons. Well, there are other subatomic particles too, but for the sake of simplicity of this discussion, we'll stick to these three. So this means that the only difference between oxygen and carbon is the number of protons in it. Wow, this is simpler, but still three, yeah, we like to reduce it. So the protons and neutrons were further found to be consisting of more fundamental particles called quarks. So yeah, by now scientists had given up naming things according to Greek and Latin. So now things were no more given fancy names like electrons, protons, leptons, baryons, hadrons. They were given silly names like quarks. So there are up quarks and there are down quarks. So a proton is made of two up quarks and a down quark. A neutron is made up of one up and two down quarks. So we were down to these. So should these be further broken down? Well, the process is on with variable amounts of success. So here we are seeing that both unification and reductionism are going on simplifying things. This matter related example is an outstanding one. I would like to explain unification and reductionism with respect to fundamental forces and fundamental laws in my upcoming videos. Today's quote: avoid complexities, they'll multiply. Understand them, they'll simplify. Thanks for watching.